Hello and welcome to Hot Indonesia, your oasis for thoughtful discussion. I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. Here is this week's H-I Hotlist. Presidential projections. A new poll picks the very early leaders for 2024. Who's in front? Holding the line. Why a recent libel conviction in the Philippines hits all media hard. We get opinions from former presidential spokesman Wimar Witoelar. And virtual variety, the different ways people have been getting together in these coronavirus times. Now, here are my co-hosts each and every week. Sandrina Malakiano, former TV news anchor, now a political marketing consultant from her home in South Tangerang, and Sandiaga Uno, business executive and former vice governor of Jakarta from his home in South Jakarta. Here's hot topic number one, presidential projections. It's never too early to start political speculation these days, and a recent poll in the Jakarta Post shows the man who ran in the past three elections is leading the pack of potential candidates. Defense Minister Prabowo Subianto is in front with 14.1% of the 1,200 people surveyed. He's followed by Central Java Governor Ganjar Pranowo and Jakarta's Anies Baswedan. In fourth place is West Java Governor Ridwan Kamil, and in fifth, our very own Sandiaga Uno, whom we'll talk to very shortly. Have a lot to ask him. But, you know, the race is wide open because President Joko Widodo is term limited. Sandrina, to you first, because your business is polling. Is it a fair indicator of where sentiment is right now? I know you have a lot to say about this. Briefly, where is it?
Okay, I'll try to make it as briefly as possible. First, there are two main problems with this survey result. First, its methodology, and the second, the time frame. First, in particular, the survey's population is not the entire population of Indonesia. The population is taken from approximately 207,000 respondents. The survey company have previously interviewed, and in their surveys they held from March 2018 until March 2020. Above that, not all of these 207,000 respondents were interviewed because only 70% of them could be contacted by phone. So from that number, they took a sample of 5,400 approximately, and they managed to interview around 1,200 respondents. So this means there is a questionable process, Dalton, because the taking of samples from samples, this could cause a serious problem due to the methodology of the survey, and of course this will impact the quality. Secondly, time frame. The presidential election is still so far away. It's 2020. The election is 4 years from now.
Well, you know, Sandrina, surveys are surveys. People love to, it's like a horse race. You just want to speculate. It sells papers. It creates interest. So nobody's taking this as this is what's going to happen. So I understand it. And it's your business. So you're fair to say and question the methodology. But Sandy, let's get to you now. The pollster said the governors moved up in this survey from the previous one they did previously because of their visibility in the COVID-19 crisis. No one got more than 15%, which says the race is still kind of wide open. You're not surprised that your former running mate is in the lead, right?
Well, as Sandrina said, it's a way too early of any kind of poll being done. But I think what the voters have in mind at this moment is not the political decisions that they have to make, but rather issues about the pandemic that causes jobs and prices. And in the same survey, you see that the concern about the economic hardship, like people losing jobs, people have their incomes going down dramatically, prices and cost of livings, and the concerns over the territorial lockdown really high on people's mind, and also the drop in terms of the government's handling on the pandemic. But survey, you're right. You need to take, because it's data, and I think the part about who is in the lead and who's not will be the talks among the elites. Prabowo again is top, so I'd like to. We have Wimar, who has some very interesting view about Pak Prabowo. So maybe he's a much better place to comment on this. But I think people will think about economy, jobs, and cost of livings, and type of how they could come out from this pandemic even stronger, adapting to new normal.
Yeah, we're not really talking about issues at this point. They're just kind of doing a horse race survey. The big question, Sandy, and I got to ask this, you know, I'm a journalist and I'm going to ask you this in the next 4 years. Are you planning to run in 2024?
Right now, I think my focus will be my job here at Hot Indonesia. Thank you, Dalton, for the job. And I'll still will focus to be around the people, listening to what they want. And if it's the economic, we need to solve the economic issues and other issues that is high on the people's mind, like education, healthcare in particular. It's something that we need to work. And then once we go into the political cycle in 2023, then I guess we're ready to talk about politics. But today, I think we should focus on how we could fight COVID-19 together.
Yeah, okay. So the door is open. You'll see what happens in the next few years. Okay.
Yes.
Sandrina, yeah, go ahead.
What should be done is now that Sandi should conduct a survey, a proper survey, as soon as possible, because
using your company, correct?
Is she soliciting work here?
No, wait, because you know this survey result we're discussing about is actually uncomparable. It's like comparing an apple with a kangaroo, not apple to apple, because the survey result is compared to a properly conducted survey held before the pandemic in February, whilst this particular one is like methodologically impaired, held during the pandemic.
Sandrina, we get it that you're not a fan of this,
okay,
this
Sandrina,
competitor. I got it.
We'll talk about this right after this show. Maybe I can get some discount.
Let's get to the actual survey. Sandrina, quickly, what's your advice for candidates or any candidates between now and the next election? What must they do?
For the time being, of course, it's good to have a continued public relations campaign, because then the people will get to know you better. But you never know. In Indonesia, people tend to have this short-term memory, so whatever happens during the injury time would really matter in those people deciding whom they will elect. This result actually, as Sandy said, is held during the pandemic, where all the people are hit hard by the impact. So this is more like how the candidates to be are handling the media and social media results. So what you're seeing is practically that.
Yeah, and it's very early, as I said. You know, one last thing, one name not mentioned in this survey, but I'm hearing a lot these days. I'm sure both of you have as well. The Speaker of the House, Puan Maharani, daughter of former President Megawati Sukarno Putri. I think she's going to be in the mix in the next 4 years. Let's see. Hot Indo will continue shortly with Holding the Line. How a libel conviction in the Philippines could hit us here. We ask former presidential spokesman Wimar Witoelar for his thoughts. You're watching Hot Indonesia with Sandrina, Sandy, and me. Here's hot topic number 2, Holding the Line. That is the rallying cry for Maria Ressa, CEO of the Filipino news website Rappler, after her June 15 conviction for cyber libel. Her attorneys and supporters say she's being targeted because of her company's criticism of President Rodrigo Duterte, particularly his harsh anti-drug crusade. She faces 6 years in prison along with a colleague. You know, Maria was a former colleague of mine at CNN when she was Jakarta Bureau Chief. Let's bring in now Wimar Witoelar, former presidential spokesman for President Abdul Rahman Wahid. Wimar, you know Maria well from your days in government. Is it not the role of a journalist to be the watchdog, reporting on issues that leaders may not like?
Yes, that's the role. It's also the fate of certain news people to be subject to trouble from people in power. So unfortunately, that has hit Maria Ressa, a woman whom I admire and like when we were together around Jakarta. So That's a shame that she got into this trouble. But I think, knowing what I know, very little of the Philippines, one could see for a while that Maria Ressa was headed for trouble and had seemed to escape it a few years ago, because the statute of limitations for that kind of accusation had run out. But apparently there's a catch in that any piece being edited after the statute of limitations had run out immediately activates the case. So she's caught in that problem.
Yeah, Wimar, your former boss, Gus Duer, certainly received his share of unflattering coverage at times, but he didn't try to muzzle the media, did he?
Never. So I cannot comment on other countries, but it's unfortunate for the Philippines because it's been hot and cold in the Philippines. They had a very harsh regime under Marcos. Of course, not irrational like this one, but harsh. Nobody could speak. The Philippines was a very hard country, and then Marcos was ousted, and then we have a succession of very democratic presidents until we got Mr. Duterte. So Mr. Duterte is again old school, and it's a shame. I hope Indonesia does not turn out that way, because we had a tougher than tough life for journalists in the Suharto regime, but things had been improving and things are all right now, but it's always possible. People are people and ambitions are ambitions.
Okay, Sandy, question for Wimar, please.
Pa Wimar, my old boss, I used to work in the same company that Pa Wimar also was there, and thank you, Dalton, for reconnecting me with Pa Wimar. Obviously, Maria Ressa's, I used to go to the gym with her when she was here in Jakarta, and we enjoy many times being interviewed by her. And it's unfortunate that she's facing these difficulties. But my questions to Pa Wimar, you mentioned that we now enjoy some kind of a freedom of speech, freedom of press, and the media now is playing a very, very pivotal role in terms of this young and really embarking democracy. Now, how do we mitigate the attempt or actually, because we are going to continue to evolve, but how do we ensure that the media will continue to be strong and be able to be the voice of the people going forward?
I think you just included your answer there. So as long as the media is the voice of the people, it will be difficult for those in power to do any action against the media. The media, which is on the side of the people, will always be supported, and right now it is being supported. But sometimes the messages are clouded because there's so much going on in informal media, in the social media. So the thing is to develop possible ethics, not a new ethics, just a plain code of ethics to make the media, to keep the media honest and be in character as the voice of the people.
Okay, Sandrina?
Yeah, what is happening in the Philippines is actually evidently underlines the war between new populism and the justice system in modern democracy practices. This is happening in the US under Trump's presidency and in the Philippines under Duterte, because the country's leader believe they have the popularity, the strength, because they are backed by the people, so they can do whatever they want in regards to the justice system. But in Indonesia, Okay, Pak Wimar, you said that we are now in a very good situation in terms of freedom of the press, but we still do have cases here where journalists are being held responsible for libel articles. What is missing in Indonesia's regulations, and what should be repaired, should be done to avoid the journalists being suppressed and facing the threat of convictions such as Maria Ressa?
Right now, we are very distant from the situation in the Philippines. So for the time being, there's no real threat. But if we keep maintaining the quality of the journalists, and we can have good, interesting articles, then the public can support the media as they well should. But I repeat what I said, there's no threat, there's no immediate threat of the media losing its ethics, as long as they don't become extensions of ambitious power holders, which they are not.
Okay, last question, Wimar, to wrap this up. What is your advice for leaders or potential leaders in this country who may be thinking, wow, look what's happening in the Philippines. Maybe I can do that here and control the agenda. What do you say to the leaders? Guys like, you had the ear of your former boss. What do you say to potential leaders?
Well, my former boss might be my boss if he will take me as the vice presidential candidate. So I would say to him, be as you are. Sandiaga Uno has no totalitarian blood in his veins. Is a good man, so stay as good as you are, and you will be out of trouble. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, you said vice president. He could be running for president. You never know, my friend Wimar. Anyway, political analyst, former presidential spokesman Wimar Witoelar, thank you very much for your time. We're going to have you back.
Thank you, Pak
very
Wimar.
sure. Okay, more Hot Indo is ahead.
Can you hear the trumps in London?
Virtual variety, the different ways Indonesians have been entertaining themselves in isolation. You're watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Here's hot topic number 3, virtual variety.
I've been cheated by you since I don't know why.
This is one of the musical ways Indonesians tried to lead normal lives while in coronavirus isolation. Bands like this had live social media events to entertain their fan base while hoping to get some financial donations. Others have gone on virtual dates, like Paul here in Singapore and Heron in Jakarta. And actual weddings have been held online, like this one this month. I want to mention that couple, Paul and Heron, they even had a Japanese-themed date, I was told, where they both dressed in like kimonos and they ordered Japanese food. And I think that's kind of cute, and I think they had fun. What are some of your fun events or occasions you've been involved in or seen online? We'll start with Mr. Uno.
Well, I've been involved a couple of times in very, very innovative productions or content. First is a bunch of artists, public figures get together and we sing each from our home, and we try to motivate and keep the spirit up from the people. But the second one was kind of cute because I was asked to be a witness of some kind of a wedding and would give some kind of advice. But that I didn't get the timing right, so I was told and I was not prepared and I rushed. I only had the time to put a batik shirt and a kopiah on my head, the Islamic or the Indonesian hat. And I still have my shorts on. So during the ceremony, the virtual matrimony, I was giving advice, because they can only see the upper part of myself, but the lower part, they didn't see that I was actually wearing shorts.
I thought you were going to say they saw your lower half and they like
Well,
your legs.
I posted later on the Instagram, and people kind of see that's the beauty of this online. You don't really have to fully dress. You could be very comfortable with your shorts.
As long as you have something on, that's the point. Okay,
That's right.
Sandrina, Sandrina, what was your fun event?
I had really enjoyed watching the Mostly Jazz live concert held 4 times by Indra Lesmana and his friends. Why this is such a good concert? Because it was held live. All the other concerts were held pre-recorded separately from their respective homes, but Indra Lesmana managed to make it live from 2 different locations in the 1st of March, and then from 3 different locations. This is from Jakarta and Bali, and last from 4 different locations, live and successfully. You know, you have this delay problem when you do it live on the air. They managed to tackle it, and the concerts were really good.
We've all learned a lot, business, entertainment. Let's move forward. Okay. It is feedback time now. Let us know what you're thinking out there. This email came from Veril in Malaysia, and he gets a t-shirt. I heard that Indonesia's COVID numbers do not accurately reflect the real situation there. Is this really the case? Well, as in any country, the numbers reflect the amount of testing done. It is true Indonesia has not as much testing as elsewhere, therefore the numbers are low. And here's a video question from Nadia in Surabaya.
I would like to ask regarding banking, whether this digital wallet will replace or take over conventional banking in the future due to the restriction of paper or coin money to be released to avoid COVID-19's transmission.
Good question, Nadia. Quick answer, Sandy?
Well, definitely. I think more and more, in particular the millennials, will go for the e-wallet, will go for the electronic currencies, because it's simply very, very efficient.
I think we're moving that way anyway. This kind of accelerated it. Okay, here's how to contact us with your feedback. Email at hotindo@theindonesiachannel.com or comment through our Hot Indonesia or Indonesia Channel Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages. Final words, Sandrina?
Yes, to all watching this program, wherever you are, please do not put your guards down, even though the restrictions have been relaxed, because numbers are still increasing. Please continue to take extra precautions, be vigilant, take care of yourself, and avoid potential sources of COVID-19 outbreaks or new clusters. That is a must. We will still be facing such a situation for quite some time, so take care.
Final word, Sandy.
We just got very revealing information from the government that the package that was being announced by President Widodo, only 26% were realized. And in terms of the assistance to the SMEs, only 0.06%. I'm really concerned. I'm really worried that if we don't execute what the President had announced quickly, we may face a permanent damage to our economy. So not only the package must be right, but also the executions and the speed and the expedient of how government bureaucracy move to implement this program. So guys, let's get to work.
Okay, and my final words. I want to say something about crying. I find myself being moved to tears so much more easily these days. Whether it's because we've endured a lot so far this year, a global pandemic, racial injustice, and economic frustrations, or simply because letting it out just feels better after you do it. I believe it makes you stronger, not weaker. And that is Hot Indonesia for this week. For Sandrina Malakiano and Santiago Uno, I'm Dalton Tanonaka. Thank you for watching. Please join us again next time.